Hi everyone, it is nice to see you today. Today is Monday, May 11th, and we are now in week 4 of this Pause for Creation series that we're doing during the season of Easter right now. We are also in week number 9 of this COVID-19 coronavirus shutdown pause. And it feels kind of surreal that we have been sheltering in place now for 9 weeks. I remember in week 1 feeling like how strange it was to just cancel everything. How I couldn't imagine what 2 weeks of this would be like, let alone 4 weeks. But slowly the weeks have slipped by like drips out of a bucket. And now we're in week 9, and part of me has just about given up on trying to figure out when it might be over and how it might end. I am sure if you are like me that you have had ups and downs through these 9 weeks. Some days it feels like there's a rhythm and the hours of the day have meaning and productivity and joy. It feels like some days the silver linings are really bright and the weather is warm. It's amazing how much that helps. And then other days are different. The hours drag on. Nothing seems quite right. There are more tears than usual, and I'm not just talking about the kids. The silver linings sometimes seem to be totally eclipsed by the dark clouds. And then it goes and snows in May. Just adding it to the list of Twilight Zone-like things that are happening right now. I do not know if it was the snow this weekend or something else, but after 8 Sundays of not being together in church, I felt my heart breaking yesterday during our worship hour. I miss your faces. I miss the sound of kids running down our hallways. I miss the smell of coffee brewing. I miss the lineup of the wise guys who sit on the pew in the social hour before church. I miss the seriousness of our acolytes as they carry that flame up to the candles. I miss seeing new names. People have just started coming to our church, signed up to get name tags. I miss our community in real life, every part of it, even the long meetings. I miss it. And yesterday, I was just feeling that really heavily. So, the Bible is great for a lot of reasons. It tells the story of our faith. It tells us about Jesus. It inspires us with songs and poetry, and it gives us directions on how to live ethically and justly. But one of the things that I love the most about the Bible is that it gives words to grief in a profound way. For thousands of years, people have grieved. And in the pages of this book, it has been recorded and it has been called sacred. And because they have shared their grief out loud with God and with their friends and their family, it has been heard. And when grief is heard, it becomes much, much more bearable. There's an entire book in the Bible called Lamentations. Lamentations, to lament, to speak your pain and your sorrow out loud. Large portions of Isaiah and this book of Psalms are also what we call laments. There's also a part of the book of Jeremiah that is lamenting. This is the book that we've been using for this series after Easter. And in this book, grief is woven into the fabric of our faith. It gives the story of who we are, and the grief adds texture. It adds honesty. And so I wanted to share with you part of the lament passage in the book of Jeremiah. And this is Jeremiah 8:18 through 9:1. My joy is gone. Grief is upon me. My heart is sick. Hark the cry of my poor people from far and wide in the land. Is the Lord not in Zion? Is her king not in her? The harvest is past. The summer is ended, and we are not saved. For the hurt of my poor people, I am hurt. I mourn, and dismay has taken hold of me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then has the health of my poor people not been restored? Oh, that my head were a spring of water, and my eyes a fountain of tears, so that I might weep day and night for the slain of my poor people. I don't have any really fancy way to connect that passage to our theme right now of caring for the earth. But I also know that the earth also knows loss and grief. It must. I saw just now as I was coming into the church building that the little tree beside the church that had big, white, beautiful flowers on it. In fact, I took a picture of those flowers in my Thursday email and sent them to you. All of those bright white blossoms are now sagging and drooped and brown, having been touched by the frost. Right now, even as I talk, torrential rain is pouring from the sky. It's like the earth is crying. But here's what I also know. In our collective grief, people are turning back to the earth, quite literally. People are putting their fingers into the soil. They are burying seeds. They're turning over grass sod in their yards, and they are planting their tears into the hands of the earth. It's almost like the earth gets it. Rich and textured like the grief-stricken stories of the Bible, the earth is of God. So why not give our grief to the earth? In the midst of many things that feel outside of our control right now, planting a seed and watching the earth take over feels amazingly like an intentional release of control that does good, not harm. Our grief needs to come out. The earth needs to be watered by our tears. So here are my two thoughts for today. Grief is just part of our lives now in a new way. We should name it, write it down, tell a friend, Go out into the woods and shout it out loud. I don't care how you say it. We just need to say it. And as you add your grief into the world's many threads of texture, I think we draw closer to the earth. I think it's important for us to connect with that is larger than ourself and our grief. And maybe that means planting a garden. Or maybe planting a tomato in a pot. Or expanding your garden from last year. Maybe that means disconnecting from all of the complicated socio-political supply chains of meat factories and produce shipped across the country, and instead turning to the farmer down the road who sells eggs or meat, or maybe soon vegetables. We have to turn to what we know. For thousands of years, our mothers and fathers of faith found comfort in naming their grief out loud. And God always answered, always. Maybe it's in the small sign of a seed that actually makes a sprout that comes out of the ground. Or maybe it's the miracle of supporting a farmer through hardship. We are not in this by ourselves. We're in this together, all of us. And nothing speaks to our connectedness more than our citizenship on earth. And the fact that we all grieve. So come with me. I would like to take you on a little tour of my garden to show you where I've been planting some of my grief these days. Come on out.
There's some little baby peas over here. And here's some herbs. Chives and lavender and rosemary and oregano and sage. And then here I have growing some lettuce and kale, and then I also stuck in my planters of basil and peppers and tomato because it's too cold to plant them in the regular garden just yet. So they're just mixed in here with our lettuce and kale. Back here we have garlic growing. And over here is the famous rhubarb plant that was planted by Brian Hayes and moved up to our house on High Street when they left, and then moved back down here when we moved here. And that is our garden.
I want to see a tour of your garden. Now it's your turn. What are you planting? How are you letting your lament out? What are your tears watering? And how do you feel connected right now to the earth and your local community and the farmers? How are you exercising the little bit of control that you do have in what you buy and where you buy it? How are you saying we're all in this together? Thank you so much for listening today, and bonus points if you know where in the church I filmed this. Have a good day.